You feel it, don't you? That constant low-grade hum of anxiety, that feeling that you are running, always running, but you don't know from what or to what. You are not living, you are surviving. You are not at peace, you are at war with an enemy you cannot see and cannot name. But you know, deep down, that this is not how life is supposed to be lived. In the next few minutes, you will gain the power of a shaman. You will learn how to descend into the underworld of your own psyche, how to face the demons that have been haunting you, and how to return with the treasure of your own authentic self. And you'll soon know the difference between the anxiety that destroys you and the anxiety that can, if you let it, save you. Part 1. The Symphony of Suffering. Why your anxiety is a sacred signal. Stop for a moment, feel it. That tightness in your chest, that knot in your stomach, that racing in your mind. This is not a malfunction. This is not a disease. This is a message. A sacred and urgent and life-saving message from the deepest and wisest and most ancient part of your own soul. Your anxiety is not the problem. It is the symptom. It is the smoke alarm, screaming that there is a fire in the basement of your being. But we have been taught to hate our anxiety. We have been taught to numb it, to medicate it, to distract ourselves from it, to fight it as if it were an enemy. We have been told that the goal is to be calm, to be happy, to be positive. But what if that is a lie? What if the goal is not to be happy, but to be whole? What if your anxiety is not a sign that you are broken, but a sign that you are waking up? Carl Jung understood this. He saw that much of modern suffering comes from a single and tragic mistake. We have declared war on our own inner world. We have become so obsessed with the external world, with success, with productivity, with the opinions of others, that we have lost contact with the most important part of ourselves, our own, deep and mysterious, and often dark soul. And when the soul is ignored, it does not go away. It screams. It screams in the language of anxiety, of depression, of addiction, of chronic pain, of a life that feels empty and meaningless and utterly and completely out of control. Your body is not a machine that needs to be fixed. It is a living, breathing, and intelligent organism that is constantly communicating with you. That chronic tension in your shoulders, that insomnia, that diffuse pain, that constant sense of threat, it is not random. It is a symphony of suffering, a complex and beautiful and often terrifying expression of a soul that is at war with itself. Your body is pleading for reconnection, for listening, for truth. It is asking you to stop running and to start turning and facing the fire that is burning in your own inner house. This is the beginning of the journey. The understanding that your anxiety is not your enemy. It is your ally. It is your guide. It is a compass pointing you in the direction of what needs to be healed, what needs to be integrated, what needs to be brought into the light. And the journey to healing does not begin with fighting your anxiety, but with listening to it. Part 2. The Path of Individuation. Your journey from anxiety to wholeness. So how do you listen? How do you begin this journey from a life of quiet desperation to a life of deep and authentic and meaningful wholeness? Jung called this path the journey of individuation, and it is the most important and most challenging and most rewarding journey you will ever take. Individuation is not about becoming a better person. It is not about self-improvement. It is about becoming a real person, It is the process of reconnecting with all the parts of yourself that you have rejected and denied and repressed. It is the rescue of your own magnificent and often terrifying wholeness. And it is this rescue that begins to dissolve anxiety, not as a symptom to be fought, but as an alert that has finally been heard. From an early age, you were shaped to fit in. You learned to adapt, to be accepted, to stay silent, to avoid conflict, to follow rules whose authors you don't even know. And in the process, you forgot who you were. You lost your center, and it is exactly there, in the space between your authentic self and the self that was manufactured to please, that anxiety is born. To individuate, therefore, is to accept that there are parts of you that have been forgotten and wounded and silenced, and that they are begging to return. It is to face your shadow, the parts of you that you have learned to hate. It is to recognize the masks of your persona, the roles you play to be accepted. It is to understand the archetypes, the ancient and powerful and universal patterns that influence your most intimate decisions. It is to stop asking yourself, how should I be? And to start asking yourself, who am I, really? But don't think this path is easy. It is a descent, a confrontation with old fears and painful truths and unresolved choices. It is the stripping away of the idealized image you have built of yourself and the facing of the fragmented and often wounded being that was left behind. But it is in this descent, in this confrontation, in this stripping away that healing happens. Because anxiety, in this context, is not the enemy. It is the guide. It points to the areas where you are still living a half-life, where you are still pretending, where you are still afraid to be who you are. Jung said that healing happens when the individual becomes who they are. This means abandoning the desire to please, to control, to meet external expectations. It means making peace with your history, with your traumas, with your light, and with your darkness. It means integrating, not excluding. And in doing so, something profound happens. Anxiety begins to dissolve, not because you have defeated it, but because you have finally understood what it wanted to say. It was not a problem. It was a map, a call, a push from the soul saying, wake up, come home, be whole. Part 3. The forgotten tools. How to speak the language of the soul. You have been conditioned to seek quick solutions. A pill to sleep, a motivational podcast, a 5-minute video with 5 tips to control anxiety. But here's a truth that might hurt. There is no instant cure for a suffering that took years to form. What exists is a process. And this process begins when you quiet down, when you listen to yourself, and when you accept the invitation to dive into the invisible. Jung did not see the human being as a machine that needs fixing, but as a fragmented soul that needs integration. And for that, 3 practices are indispensable: silence, symbolism, and solitude. In the noisy and frantic and endlessly distracting world we live in, silence has become a luxury. But for Jung, silence was the beginning of the dialogue with the unconscious. While you distract yourself with external noises, with notifications, with obligations, with the opinions of others, the most important voice of all remains muffled: yours. Silence is not empty. It is a portal. It is in silence that repressed contents emerge, that symbols take shape, that dreams regain their meaning. Silence is the language of the soul. And it is in this silent space that symbolism comes in. Jung asserted that the unconscious communicates through symbols, images that carry deep, and powerful and often incomprehensible meanings. Have you ever had a disturbing dream and woken up not knowing what it meant? Have you ever felt a strange and powerful connection to a song, an image, or an apparently trivial memory? These are symbols, and they are not random. They are messages from your own deep and wise and ancient soul, trying to get your attention. To heal your anxiety, you must become a student of this symbolic language. You must learn to listen to your dreams, to pay attention to your fantasies, to honor the images that emerge from your own inner world. This is not a rational and linear and logical process. It is an intuitive and creative and deeply personal one. It is the art of listening to the whispers of your own soul. And finally, there is solitude. Not the loneliness of isolation, but the creative and generative and life-affirming solitude of self-communion. You must create space in your life to be alone with yourself, to be with your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams, your demons, to be with the raw and unfiltered and often uncomfortable truth of your own being. Because it is only in solitude that you can truly hear the voice of your own soul. It is only in solitude that you can begin to untangle the knots of your own inner world. It is only in solitude that you can begin to become who you truly are. These are the forgotten tools, the tools that our ancestors knew and that we have forgotten. The tools that will not give you a quick fix, but that will give you something far more valuable, a deep and lasting and authentic connection to your own magnificent and powerful and beautiful soul. Part 4. The Alchemist's Fire. How to transform your suffering into gold. So, how do you begin? How do you take these forgotten tools and start to use them in your own life? It is not about becoming a hermit or a monk or a mystic. It is about creating small and consistent and sacred practices in your everyday life. It is about turning your life into a living and breathing and beautiful ritual of self-discovery and self-integration and self-love. First, you must create a sacred space, a physical space in your home, and a temporal space in your day that is dedicated to your inner work. A place where you can be silent, where you can be alone, where you can listen. It could be a corner of your room with a candle and a journal and a comfortable chair. It could be a walk in nature every morning. It could be 5 minutes of silence in your car before you go into work. It doesn't matter what it is. It matters that you do it consistently, religiously, as if your life depended on it, because it does. Second, you must start a dialogue with your unconscious. This is the heart of Jungian psychology. It is the practice of active imagination. You take a dream image, a fantasy, a feeling, a physical sensation, and you begin to have a conversation with it. You ask it questions. You listen to its answers. You treat it as if it were a real and living and intelligent being, because it is. It is a part of you that has been waiting for a very long time to be heard. Third, you must learn to honor your own unique and beautiful weirdness. You are not like anyone else. You have your own unique and beautiful and often strange and quirky and unconventional way of being in the world. And you must have the courage to own it, to embrace it, to celebrate it, to stop trying to be normal and to start trying to be real. Because your weirdness is not a flaw, it is a gift. It is the expression of your own unique and magnificent soul. And finally, You must find a way to bring your inner world into the outer world. You must find a way to express your soul through your work, through your relationships, through your creativity, through your service. You must find a way to make your life a living and breathing and beautiful expression of your own deepest truth. Because meaning is not found in the inner world alone. It is found in the dance between the inner and the outer, between the soul and the world, between who you are and what you do. This is the alchemist's fire, the fire that transforms the lead of your suffering into the gold of your own authentic self. It is a slow and difficult and often painful process, but it is also the most rewarding and most beautiful and most life-affirming process you will ever undertake. Because it is the process of becoming who you were always meant to be, a person who is not just free from anxiety, but who is finally and completely and magnificently whole. Let me be clear. This is not about transcending your humanity. This is not about becoming perfect. This is not about becoming a saint or a guru or a fully enlightened being. This is about becoming a real and whole and deeply human person. A person who has access to the full spectrum of their own experience. The light and the dark, the joy and the suffering, the strength and the vulnerability. This is about integration. This is about wholeness. This is about becoming who you truly are. And here is the paradox. The moment you stop trying to get rid of your anxiety, it begins to lose its power over you. The moment you stop fighting it and start listening to it, it begins to transform. It begins to dissolve. Not because you have defeated it, but because you have finally understood what it was trying to tell you. Your anxiety was not trying to destroy you. It was trying to save you. It was trying to wake you up. It was trying to lead you home to yourself. There is a story that Jung tells about a patient who came to him, completely overwhelmed by anxiety. She had tried everything: therapy, medication, meditation, yoga. Nothing worked. And Jung listened, and then he asked her a simple and devastating question. What if your anxiety is not trying to destroy you? What if it is trying to save you? The woman was shocked. Save me? From what? And Jung said, from the life you are living, from the person you are pretending to be, from the soul-crushing lie that you have been telling yourself every single day for your entire life. The woman left Jung's office and she went home and she sat in silence. And for the first time in her life, she listened. She listened to her anxiety. She listened to what it was trying to tell her. And what she heard was this: you are living the wrong life. You are in the wrong job. You are in the wrong relationship. You are betraying yourself every single day. And I, your anxiety, am here to wake you up, to shake you, to force you to pay attention. Because if you don't change, you will die. Not physically, but spiritually. You will become a ghost walking through a life that was never yours. And so, the woman made a decision. She left her job. She left her relationship. She left the life that everyone expected her to live. And she began to build a new life. A life that was hers. A life that was real. A life that was aligned with her own deep and authentic soul. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, her anxiety began to dissolve. Not because she had defeated it, but because she had finally listened to it. She had finally honored it. She had finally understood that it was not her enemy. It was her savior. This is the gift that awaits you on the other side of this journey. Not the absence of anxiety, but the presence of meaning. Not the absence of suffering, but the presence of purpose. Not the absence of darkness, but the integration of light and dark into a whole and beautiful and powerful and authentic self. This is the promise of the journey of individuation. This is the promise of the Jungian path. This is the promise of a life that is not just lived, but that is truly and deeply and magnificently alive. And the most beautiful part, when you do this work, when you make this journey, when you become this person, you give others permission to do the same. You become a living example of what is possible. You become a light in the darkness. You become proof that another way of living is available. You show the world that it is possible to be anxious and also to be whole, that it is possible to be broken and also to be beautiful, that it is possible to be human and also to be divine. So, the question is not whether you are capable of this transformation. The question is, are you willing? Are you willing to stop running? Are you willing to turn and face the fire? Are you willing to listen to your anxiety instead of fighting it? Are you willing to descend into the underworld of your own psyche and to return with the treasure of your own authentic self? Because if you are, then everything changes. Your life becomes your own. Your anxiety becomes your ally. Your suffering becomes your teacher. And you become finally and completely the person you were always meant to be. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The path is calling to you right now in this very moment. And all you have to do is listen. All you have to do is take the first step. All you have to do is say yes to your own magnificent and terrifying and beautiful soul.